always do, we jump out here to the monthly. And first of all, it's Friday, April 26th. We have just today and then 2 more trading days next week left in the month. So very close to where we're going to close, right? Yesterday's close 50.82, current trading price 51.18. So we're back above the previous month's open. I think that's going to be kind of the key today. If we can close above the previous month's open, you're going to start to develop a little bit of an equilibrium at this 51.05 level that can cause or act as a little bit of support. To me, the market is looking a little bit weak here. So we'll kind of see, I guess, what that brings. But the market's not really looking super hot as far as, I mean, just as far as the open. We are opening up on a gap, so there is definitely still some upside in the market for sure. But it's just we'll see if it continues into today. We had some really good earnings yesterday, right? Google earnings and Microsoft earnings both went very well. That's why the market is up or went up overnight or after the market with that close down at 50.82 quarter. Switching over here to the weekly, you can see completely inside the previous week's range. Really just, kind of balancing here. Still holding this downtrend, but it's just an inside week, so not really much to draw from that unless we get a close that comes down to test that previous -4 low, which was that 50.03, so pretty decent ways lower, about 100 points. Or should we trade back up towards the high and towards that 51.50, the market, I think, starts to get a little bit bullish. And if we start to hold that 51.50, I think there's decent odds that we're starting to target that equilibrium above. Now, switching over to the daily, you can see yesterday, interesting day. We kind of opened up, kind of middled around. For those of you guys that were in the room with us, we kind of talked about how that low was just like, it just wasn't sure. The NASDAQ wasn't wanting to go down. The ES tempo was very slow. And then we ended up getting that reversal, kind of like that we suspected. So we were able to stay on the right side of the market, because yesterday could have been disastrous for some people had they just stayed short the whole day. We got a rally, kind of cleared this weak level, right? We had this weak high, kind of cleared that up with yesterday's high being 51. What the fuck? 51.31 quarter. That's how it aggregates it. That's interesting. It says yesterday's high 51.31 quarter, but on my TPO, I don't think it's that high. Well, I mean, we'll just kind of pay attention, I guess, to see. It kind of aggregates it because of that news that came out basically right at the last second. So we'll kind of see. You see the close down 50.82 quarter, right? That's the same close that I have, so that makes sense. But we're kind of, balancing, right? You're in this 4-day balance. Or maybe even a 5-day, but even longer here. You're kind of just balancing. We've moved down. The one time framing was subsided here, and then you get this kind of 4-day sloppy balance, which really turns into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-day balance down here. So definitely something we want to be paying attention to, right? You get that move down. This is kind of that B shape, right? And this is something that we talked about, that it didn't look necessarily like there was some indication of extremely strong selling. It just looked like they had kind of, started to wet their beak a little bit with the shorts, right? Remember, long traders, or long money as we like to call them, institutional money, cut a bunch of their long position, about 59,000 contracts, and added about 25,000 contracts to the short. So not a complete flip-flop, but definitely a lot of selling pressure, which caused the market to come down. Now, switching over here to the profile. Yeah, see, this shows the high a little bit lower, but you get this big move. This is that settlement period, so that's where it's grabbing that from. So even if we were to merge that, it kind of gives us this look here. and you get that kind of outside day, and it cleaned up those highs. So we traded right into these previous single prints, and this is the area where we talked about in the COT chart. You got a lot of movement, a lot of move below, so you get that liquidation, and then it looked like a re-offer from this area. So it'll be very key to me. Should these single prints not fill today, I think towards the end of the day, I'm gonna be looking to maybe add some more shorts. Um, I have a ratio going on where I'm shorting Nvidia, shorting Microsoft, shorting Meta, longing Apple, longing Tesla. So a little bit of a ratio going on there. Um, it's not doing bad. Nothing too amazing, but yesterday didn't help at all. Luckily, I got out of the Meta position in time, but the Microsoft position still up, but not as up as it should have been. Um, so really that's going to be kind of the key, right? You get this kind of liquidation lower, we're kind of balancing in this lower range, and that's going to be the key. We're going to be opening up on a gap today, on a gap higher. And I guess I'm not sure if the CME produced a different high, but at 1600 when my TPOs end, this is where the last trade happened. So we'll kind of have to wait and see what we get. But intraday, we're really going to be looking at that value, right? Value area is a little bit lower. And honestly, for me, if they don't get back down below that 5090, then you're probably clear for the upside. Now, this COT VPOC is probably going to act like a little bit of a magnet, right? And you see a little 45-degree developing on the overnight profile with overnight inventory 100% net long. A lot of selling coming in here still. Um, but we'll kind of see if they are able to break. If they're not able to break and this 45-degree angle holds, you're really pretty much clear to like I want to see this thing pop the overnight point of control. You can see these kind of line up here. You'd like to see it hold and then test into here, right? You're obviously looking for that opposite side, which is the 5150, and then 5150 is going to be kind of decision time, right? Um, decision time. Below that, I think there is some opportunity for some longs as well. Should we get going down here, anything that doesn't fill the gap, I think is long, and your best bet is off of that COT VPOC to trade back up, back inside yesterday's range, and back below the settle. It really just starts to get weak, and I think you probably shop around inside there. So maybe some opportunity in both sides. And then in reality, the bearishness starts to set in between this distribution, starts to look towards the low of balance, right? So basically we're looking at this like it's a balance. Well, we tested the high of balance, so are we going to continue to get continuation, which is the first thing we monitor on a breakout of balance, right? It's a longer time frame breakout of balance, but that's the first thing that we look to monitor. Are we going to get this continuation? If we don't, then we kind of assume that it's going to trade back towards the center of gravity or the point of control. And that would be, really towards yesterday's settle is pretty much the middle of that range. Let me pull up the COT chart here so we can get a bigger picture. So on the COT chart, you can see this profile here is going to be the report that we're going to get today. This is kind of what I was talking about as far as it looked like they had moved lower, reoffered. You see all that volume come in, and then we got that continuation uh, in Monday, Tuesday kind of rebound, and then you see Wednesday, Thursday, Friday here is going to be on the next report. So we're not going to really get any information from that. But this profile here, we're going to get the information. So we see all this volume here below these single prints. That's going to really be the kind of key if they're able to get below, and that's looking like to me that 50.75, 50.78 prior month low is really going to be the kind of gatekeeping point. I think if buyers are able to keep it inside the prior month's range, even on a deep pullback this morning, since we're trading 51.11, so let's say we trade down towards that 75, which is like 35 points lower. If they're not able to establish dominance or establish volume below that prior month's low, it looks like most of the volume from this cot that's developing is stuck below the prior month's low, and you may see some short covering, and they may just look to reoffer higher. So that'll be something that we definitely want to be paying attention to going into the rest of the day. And then once that report comes out this afternoon at 15:30, market basically be closed, but we can get a little bit of information from there. But other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure you're managing risk and sticking to your trade plan, and I'll see you guys on Monday.